The ocean. It covers more than 70% of our planet, and yet we've explored less than 5. Beneath its surface lies a world more alien than space. A world of darkness, silence, and secrets. For thousands of years, humanity has stood at its edge, staring into the blue, wondering what lies beneath. Among the countless mysteries hidden below, one name endures above all others. Atlantis, a kingdom of unimaginable beauty and power. A civilization said to possess wisdom far beyond its time. And a city that, in a single day and night, vanished beneath the sea. Was it myth? A parable told by ancient philosophers? Or was it real? A memory of a lost world, swallowed by the ocean thousands of years ago? From the writings of Plato to the dreams of explorers, from volcanic ruins in the Mediterranean to strange formations beneath the Caribbean. The search for Atlantis has spanned continents, centuries, and civilizations. Some believe it was a warning, a tale of human pride and divine retribution. Others believe it was history, the story of an advanced people destroyed by the forces of nature itself. And somewhere between truth and legend, the question remains, could Atlantis have truly existed? And if it did, where is it now? Tonight, we dive beneath the surface, into the depths of myth, memory, and science, to uncover the real mystery hidden beneath the ocean. The Lost City of Atlantis. For thousands of years, humankind has looked to the sea for answers. Beneath those endless waves lies a world we barely understand, a world that has kept its secrets since the dawn of time. And among those secrets, none is greater than Atlantis, a legendary empire said to have existed long before our recorded history, a place of wealth, wisdom, and wonder, until it vanished beneath the ocean, swallowed by a catastrophe so great that it erased an entire civilization from the face of the earth. The story of Atlantis has endured for over 2 millennia. But what if it wasn't just a story? What if somewhere beneath the ocean's floor lies the truth behind the greatest legend of all time? The origin of Atlantis begins with one man, the Greek philosopher Plato. In the 4th century BCE, he wrote about a powerful island nation that once lay beyond the Pillars of Heracles, known today as the Strait of Gibraltar. In his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Plato described Atlantis as a vast empire, rich in gold and silver, fertile lands, magnificent temples, and advanced architecture that surpassed anything known to Greece. According to him, the people of Atlantis were descendants of gods, wise, strong, and just. But over time, they became greedy and corrupt. Their desire for power and conquest angered the gods, who decided to punish them. And so, in a single night and day of destruction, earthquakes and floods consumed the island, and Atlantis sank beneath the sea. To this day, these words remain the only original written source about Atlantis. No other ancient text mentions it. And yet, Plato's account sparked one of the greatest mysteries in human history. For centuries, philosophers and explorers debated his meaning. Was Atlantis a real place, or a moral lesson, a warning about human arrogance? Plato's student, Aristotle, dismissed the tale as fiction, but others believe that it might be based on distant memories of real events passed down through oral tradition, distorted over thousands of years. During the Renaissance, interest in Atlantis was reborn. When new lands were discovered across the Atlantic, scholars wondered, could these distant continents be what Plato described? Could America itself be the remnant of that lost world? Maps from the 15th and 16th centuries began to include mysterious islands labeled Atlantis or Antilia, often placed somewhere between Europe and the New World. Writers speculated that the Aztecs, the Incas, and even the Egyptians might all share roots with the Atlanteans, an ancient global civilization that once connected the world before the Great Flood. As time went on, explorers turned to science. With the invention of the diving suit and the later development of sonar, we began to see the seafloor for the first time. And what we saw only deepened the mystery. In 1949, oceanographer Maurice Ewing discovered strange rock formations near the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a massive underwater mountain chain stretching from Iceland to the South Atlantic. To some, it seemed like the remnants of a sunken continent. Others believed it to be the geological scar of the Earth's shifting plates, proof of a violent past when land masses rose and sank over time. The idea of Atlantis as a real, geological location began to take hold. If the continents themselves could move, why not one that had sunk beneath the sea? Then, in 1968, a discovery reignited the world's fascination. Near the island of Bimini, in the Bahamas, divers came across a line of massive rectangular stones beneath the shallow water, perfectly aligned like a road or a wall. The formation stretched for hundreds of meters. To many, this was the long-awaited proof. The Bimini Road, they claimed, was part of Atlantis, a man-made structure that had survived the flood. The famous psychic Edgar Cayce had even predicted years earlier that remnants of Atlantis will be found near Bimini in the late 1960s. The coincidence seemed too striking to ignore, but science demanded proof. Geologists examined the stones and found that they were formed naturally. Ancient beach rock fractured by erosion and shaped by the sea. Still, their near-perfect alignment and size kept the mystery alive. Was nature simply imitating human design, or was there something more? As researchers searched westward, others looked east toward the Mediterranean Sea, where civilizations as old as Atlantis once thrived. Among them was the island of Santorini, known in ancient times as Thera. There, nearly 3,600 years ago, a catastrophic volcanic eruption tore the island apart, sending shockwaves across the Aegean world. The eruption destroyed the flourishing Minoan civilization on nearby Crete, one of Europe's earliest and most advanced cultures. Archaeologists uncovered cities buried under layers of volcanic ash, streets, frescoes, and drainage systems that rivaled anything in later Greece. It was a society of art, architecture, and peace, suddenly wiped out by nature's fury. Could this be the real Atlantis? The timeline, the destruction, and the advanced culture seemed to match Plato's story. Even the idea of divine punishment following human pride. Many historians now believe that the Minoan eruption might have been the real event behind the legend, a tragedy retold and magnified over generations until it became the myth we know today. And yet, the mystery continued to evolve. Each new century brought new theories, from the icy plains of Antarctica, where some claim Atlantis lies frozen under miles of ice, to the warm waters off Cuba, where sonar images appear to show pyramids and city-like grids 2,000 feet below the surface. None of these have been conclusively proven, but every discovery reminds us how little we truly know about the world beneath the sea. Because the truth is this: we have explored more of the surface of Mars than we have of our own ocean floor. The deep sea remains one of the last unexplored frontiers of Earth. Vast, silent, and filled with secrets that defy imagination. Somewhere out there, in those dark waters, may still rest the ruins of a forgotten world, a city that defied time, now sleeping beneath the ocean. Whether myth or memory, Atlantis continues to remind us of our greatest question: how much of our history has been lost to the sea? For generations, the legend of Atlantis has refused to fade. Every century, new explorers, scientists, and dreamers return to the sea, each believing that the truth must be out there, waiting to be found. But to understand Atlantis, we must look not only for a lost city, but for the origins of human memory itself. As the Ice Age came to an end, roughly 12,000 years ago, the world underwent one of the most dramatic transformations in history. Glaciers melted, oceans rose by more than 100 meters, and entire coastlines disappeared beneath the waves. Across the globe, the ancient world was drowned. Villages that once stood near fertile shores were swallowed. Islands became mountaintops. Continents reshaped themselves. And perhaps, just perhaps, one of those vanished lands was Atlantis. If Plato's dating was correct, the destruction of Atlantis occurred around 9,600 BCE, precisely at the end of the last ice age, the very time when rising seas consumed vast areas of the earth. Could it be that his story was not a myth, but a fragment of real prehistoric memory passed down through generations until it reached ancient Greece? Modern science has uncovered hundreds of sites that challenge our understanding of early civilization. Off the coast of India, near the Gulf of Kumbat, sonar images have revealed the outlines of what appear to be walls, streets, and man-made structures, now deep underwater. Carbon samples from the area suggest human activity as far back as 9,000 years ago, long before the rise of Egypt or Mesopotamia. In Japan, the underwater monument of Yonaguni stirs the same debate. Massive stone terraces, stairways, and platforms lie beneath the sea near Okinawa. To some, it's a natural formation shaped by ocean currents. To others, it's a man-made ruin, the remains of a forgotten civilization swallowed by the ocean. Again and again, nature and mystery intertwine, leaving us with more questions than answers. The myth of a great flood is not unique to Greece. It appears in almost every ancient culture on Earth. The Sumerians spoke of a man named Utnapishtim, who survived a divine deluge. a story that predates the biblical flood of Noah. In Hindu texts, the god Vishnu warns Manu of a flood that will cleanse the world. In the Americas, the Maya, the Inca, and the Hopis all tell of great waters that once covered the land. How could civilizations separated by oceans share such similar memories? Perhaps because they all lived through the same global event, the end of the Ice Age, when the seas rose and humanity witnessed the earth transform before its eyes. And in those rising waters, entire cultures were lost, leaving behind nothing but stories. Atlantis may not have been a single island, but rather a symbol, a name for all the lost worlds swallowed by the sea. As technology advanced, scientists began mapping the ocean floor in detail. What they found was breathtaking. Vast mountain ranges stretch across the deep ocean, rivaling the Himalayas in size. Great plains, canyons, and ancient riverbeds lie hidden miles below the surface. In some areas, like the Sundaland Shelf near Southeast Asia, or the Doggerland Plain that once connected Britain to Europe, archaeologists found evidence of human life now trapped beneath the sea. Tools, carvings, even traces of ancient forests still preserved in the mud. These discoveries changed everything. They proved that human civilizations had indeed lived in areas that are now underwater, that the ocean had swallowed more of our history than we ever imagined. In 2001, off the coast of Cuba, a team of marine engineers scanning the seafloor made a startling find. At a depth of 2,000 feet, their sonar detected symmetrical structures, massive stone shapes resembling pyramids and roads. The site covered several square kilometers. When images were released, they caused a global sensation. Could this be Atlantis at last? The formations appeared artificial, too geometric to be random. But at such depths, any human construction would have to be more than 10,000 years old, older than any known civilization. Further studies, however, were inconclusive. The images were blurry, and the site was difficult to reach. To this day, the so-called Cuban underwater city remains one of the ocean's most puzzling mysteries. Proof, perhaps, that our planet still hides more questions than answers. Even as scientists grow skeptical, the allure of Atlantis persists. It represents the idea that human civilization might be far older and far more advanced than we've been taught. The possibility that long before Egypt, long before Sumer, a great culture rose, thrived, and fell, leaving behind nothing but whispers in myth and memory. Plato wrote that the Atlanteans possessed knowledge of engineering, navigation, and energy that surpassed his own time. Their temples were covered in precious metals, their harbors vast and intricate. It's no wonder that modern minds find in Atlantis a mirror of our own world. Powerful, innovative, and dangerously close to losing balance with nature. Perhaps that is why the legend endures. It's not just about a city lost to the sea. It's about us. Today, advanced sonar, satellite mapping, and submersible drones continue to explore the ocean depths. We have mapped less than a quarter of the seafloor in high detail. Every year, expeditions uncover new underwater landscapes, from submerged temples off the coast of Egypt to lost harbors near the Mediterranean and the Caribbean. Each discovery reminds us how fragile and incomplete our knowledge still is. Deep-sea archaeology is still in its infancy. Yet with every dive, the past comes closer to the surface. But perhaps Atlantis was never meant to be found. Perhaps it was never about gold, power, or technology, but about wisdom. A reminder that civilizations rise and fall with time, that nature always reclaims what is hers, and that no empire is immortal. Plato's story may have been allegory, but it resonates because it speaks to something universal: the cycle of creation and destruction, pride and fall, progress and loss. In that sense, Atlantis exists everywhere, in the ruins of ancient cities, in the flood myths of every culture, in the deep silence of the ocean where time stands still. We may never find the true city beneath the waves, but the idea of Atlantis, a lost world that warns us of our own fragility, continues to shape how we see our past and our future. As the sun sets over the horizon and the ocean glows with fading light, one truth remains: the sea keeps its secrets well. Beneath the pressure and darkness of the deep, somewhere between history and myth, Atlantis still whispers to us, a voice carried by the tides, asking the same eternal question: will we learn from the past, or will we too be swallowed by the waves?